Our Polish saint of the month is Saint Maximilian Maria Kolbe. In Polish, Święty Maximilian Kolbe. His feast day is August the 14th, and he lived from the 8th of January 1894 to the 14th of August 1941. Born in the Russian partition to the relatively poor parents of mixed Polish and German ancestry, Raymond Kolbe developed an intense religious faith centered on a devotion to Mary from a young age. He experienced a vision of Mary when he was 9, in which she offered him 2 crowns, one red symbolizing martyrdom and one white symbolizing purity. He chose both, and this vision was to have a defining effect on his life. At the age of 13, he illegally crossed the border into Austrian Poland to join a seminary. From then on, his studies took him from Poland to Rome, where he was ordained in 1918. After witnessing anti-Catholic demonstrations, he founded the Militia Immaculata, a group of Catholics that prayed for conversion of sinners and Catholic enemies through devotion to Mary. He returned to Poland, and throughout the 1920s, was active in using media as a way to evangelize, founding the periodical Rycerz Niepokrytania, or Knight of Immaculata, and using the burgeoning technology of radio to broadcast his message. In 1930, he traveled to Japan with 4 other members of his order, founding a monastery in Nagasaki, and entering into interfaith dialogue with Buddhist priests. He returned to Poland in 1936 due to ill health. After the German occupation of Poland, Kolbe and the other priests of his order aided and hid several thousand refugees from the Nazis in their monastery. Continuing to broadcast and publish against the Nazis, Kolbe was arrested by the Gestapo and sent to Auschwitz in 1941. It was in Auschwitz that the most famous episode of his life and his martyrdom took place. In July of 1941, 3 prisoners escaped the camp. In retribution, the camp commander selected 10 random men to be starved to death. Offering to take the place of a husband and father that had been selected, Kolbe prayed and gave spiritual comfort to the other 9 men as they died one by one until only a few remained. Kolbe and the others were then executed by lethal injection. He was canonized in 1982 by the Polish-born John Paul II, himself having been a victim of the World War II German occupation. Reflection. In our fast-paced social media-focused world, we have come to think of influencers as a strictly 21st century phenomenon. Yet, in a way, you could consider St. Maximilian Kolbe as an influencer of his time. For him, the smartphone of his day was radio, and he used it to proclaim his message across the airways. The debates around the benefits and harm of the impact of modern influencers in our current time usually seem to center around how the manner of influencing itself can feed into our ever-increasing limited attention spans. Also, motivations become suspect, as more followers and views lead to sponsorships and endorsements, leading people to wonder what will influence the influencers themselves. Such has been the criticism of those who use media to proclaim their message, be it 1925 or 2025. However, our ability to expose ourselves to multiple voices so immediately means that little or no contemplation may be taken before we unwittingly absorb a message that may not have our best interests at heart. It is here, perhaps, that the story of St. Maximilian Kolbe can find relevance in how it may force us to think more about the voices we listen to or not. Although Kolbe's message may have been a product of its time in the language that it was used to proclaim, his martyrdom in Auschwitz gives little doubt to his ultimate motivations. His mystical experience at such a young age transformed his heart into a beautiful legacy that crossed all boundaries, be they physical, political, or spiritual. His devotion to the Mother of God, so very much a part of Polish religious identity, inferred his every move. As we absorb the product of the influencers of our time, it is necessary to pause and discern not only the message we see, but also to consider the motivations of the person that is behind the camera. Even the most appealing or eye-catching message could contain an algorithmic hook that does not come from a place of goodness. Although it may seem an extreme contemplative exercise, perhaps we might consider if, like St. Maximilian Kolbe, they would so readily take our place in the starvation cell of a death camp. Reflection questions. I think about the content I expose myself to and the influencers' messages I follow. Do I know what their motivations are? Do I think they would have my best interests at heart if I knew them personally? I consider the influencers outside of the internet who I admire, be they religious leaders, politicians, athletes, etc. How often do I scrutinize their messages? How much do I know about their lives and causes? How would the Jesus of the Gospels respond to their words and actions? I think about the influence that I have on the people I know, either personally or through social media. Do my actions mirror that of someone like Maximilian Kolbe? Moreover, do they mirror the actions and teachings of Jesus Christ? If not, how might I change today to greater follow their example? Prayer. Modlitva. Saint Maximilian, amidst the hate and lonely misery of Auschwitz, you brought love into the lives of fellow captives and sowed the seeds of hope amidst despair. You bore witness to the world, by word and deed, that only love alone creates. Help me to become more like you yourself. With you and Mary in the Church, may I proclaim that only love alone creates. To the hungry and oppressed, the naked and homeless, the scorned and hated, the lonely and despairing, may I proclaim the power of Christ's love, which endures forever and ever. Amen.